This email flow is the single most important flow you will have in your entire account. If done right, it can be responsible for literally hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, but in the accounts that we audit each week, we see the same mistakes. It's also a flow that's crucial to the front end success of your channels like Facebook ads and Google ads, so it's super crucial that you get it right. We're going to be showing you full examples of emails end to end, the exact flow structure we would recommend for your brand as standard, and also technically how to think about this flow for your brand personally so you can drive the maximum amount of revenue and efficiency out of it every single month. This flow is of course the welcome series, and we're about to go into this document right here and show you all the stops on how to make the highest performing flow possible that you can and drive hundreds of thousands in sales for your brand from this email flow alone. Let's get into it. Like I said, in the accounts that we audit every single week, we often see the exact same mistakes, even from brands that are doing 8 figures in yearly revenue. So no one is immune to these. We'll go through this guide step by step, all of the examples, all the exact flow structures, how to think about the flow, and we will fix all of those problems one by one for you and leave you with a high converting flow. When you nail the welcome series, you can see results like these, where you see hundreds of thousands being generated in a single month here. Another one here generating nearly $200,000 in a single month. You can see here about 80K and then £61,000 being generated in a single month just from these flows alone. This is when you have it absolutely nailed, when all the stops are pulled out, the structure is correct, the content is correct, you're testing, you know exactly what your audience wants to receive and exactly how to convert as many people as possible at the beginning of the flow, the middle of the flow, and of course at the very end of the flow. So before we begin, I want to go into a couple of FAQs just to really make this super clear for you guys of what we're going to be covering today. So first, what's the welcome series? It's an automated series of emails sent out to subscribers when they first join your list to nurture them, educate them, and ultimately drive revenue for your brand. It's different to other flows in the sense that it's the very first touch point with that customer, so you need to make an impression. It really sets the tone of that relationship from there on out with you emailing them. We're also going to suggest making a longer flow here. So a lot of people ask, how can I have good content in every email? We're going to show you the entire step-by-step here. You probably have better content for your brand than you actually realize, and you may not be aware of just how wide the range of topics can possibly be in a welcome series. So we're going to show you all of that here as well. Finally, what levers will be covered today? We're going to be going through the flow overview, how to think about strategy and flow structure, what content to put in each email, and how to keep conversions coming at the end of the flow. These to me are the absolute most important factors that we need to show you today. Like I said, with it being the most important flow in the entire account, we need to make sure it's absolutely nailed and we make a good first impression. And 3 things which really kill us from doing that are not following the 3 cardinal rules, which are you need to maximize early conversions, you need to brand build in the middle to tell people what you're about as a brand and try to win them over to you in terms of your messaging. And finally, you want to be scooping up later conversions in the flow and not just relying on the first couple of emails. You want to really maximize efficiency from these people because you're probably getting them from Meta ads or Google ads, and you're, as a result, paying really good money for those leads. So we need to maximize those conversions at the end. Everything that we touch on later on in this video will tie back to one of those 3. We're always trying to do one of these 3 or a couple of those 3. And a few ways that people often screw this up are the 4 welcome series pitfalls, which, as you can see here, we definitely want to avoid being this guy right here. So we want to avoid it being too short, which to me means being less than 6 emails. We want to avoid just selling and mix in some content emails. And we want to make sure we're varying or increasing that incentive later on. You can kind of see how these tie back to the 3 cardinal rules already. We want to make sure that the copy isn't boring, that we try to not exactly deviate from brand voice necessarily, but just keep it a bit more lively than you otherwise would in your normal campaigns to avoid these mistakes. Let's go through this one here of avoiding it being short. I'm going to, of course, show you exact emails, but I don't just want to show you the exact emails. Those will come a little bit later on in the video like we discussed, because I want to show you how to think about this and show you that you can have really broad content within a welcome series. You know, I've received welcome series emails before where I genuinely wondered if I were in a welcome flow. I have received welcome series emails before where I've genuinely wondered if they were from the welcome series or not. And that to me is actually a signal sometimes for really, really good welcome series. Through a mentor of ours on the copywriting side, he made us realize that there are essentially 3 things that you need to put into a welcome flow. These are status, trust, and belief. If your copy and your content is hitting on either status, trust, or belief, or hopefully multiple of them, then you're doing a good job, and that can actually go into the welcome series. So you can start to see here that you don't need to just think of a couple of content topics. If you hit on any of these, it will work. Status, as you can see here, is a game of positioning your brand correctly. So some things that can do this are showing where you've been featured, such as well-known publications. You can see here Goop, Birdie, Forbes, and Vogue. You can show accolades that you've received, such as, let's say, awards for being the best in your category from an independent board, and so on. This positions your brand in the right way and shows you in a high status light. We then have trust, which we can do by showing how the products are made, reviews, behind the scenes action, satisfaction guarantees, building up that trust, just showing that we're a reputable brand essentially. Here's a behind the scenes sneak peek from a brand that I have bought a lot of stuff from called Represent Clo. You can see here as well, Trustpilot, very good for trust here because it's actually an independent review site and people really look at Trustpilot for objective feedback about brands. So if you have a good Trustpilot rating, that's going to be massively helpful for you. We then have belief, which is built by demonstration. You have results, you have testimonials, you have comparisons. You can see here a comparison between brands, and you can see how this brand is saying, look at our ingredients. We used very clean ingredients, and thus you can trust our skincare products. You can see here from Peach and Lily, you can see a before and after, which is obviously extremely convincing in terms of getting people to believe in the products and the actual transformation that you're going to be able to provide people, especially in this case in skincare or anything in CPG. But belief, super, super good. Now, like I said, I know we're getting into this kind of structure here, but do not worry, we will have a full sample flow structure with different options and content examples coming in just a moment. But I really need to show you guys exactly what you can put into this welcome series and just show you it's such a broad spectrum. And for your brand, I don't just want to give you this exact template, follow exactly this, because your content might be a lot different. You could have different things that you can lean into. If they hit on status, trust, and belief, you are very well within your rights to absolutely put those into your welcome series, and you'll see better results because of it. The third is to avoid just selling and mixing a couple of content emails. If you aren't able to weave content and selling together, then selling later on in the flow becomes quite difficult because you're not hitting people with a new stimulus. You need to be giving people a new stimulus to try and get a response from them in the form of a click or a sale. Just make sure that we're putting different content in here. Check out these two graphs and see which one looks more engaging to you. Does this style of content look more engaging to you, or does this style of content look more engaging to you? Or maybe here we could have a quiz, or well, here we have a quiz. In here we could have our best sellers. In here we could have all the publications we've been featured in, a very status driven email, or maybe show athletes that endorse us if we're in that sort of a category, or celebrities that endorse us. You can start to see here as you bounce around a little bit more, it just becomes far more engaging than hitting people with the same 10% off email a couple of times in a row. So make sure to vary up that content, show the different sides of your brand here in this flow. Finally, as you can see here, varying or increasing the incentive later on. I'm going to show you this in the example flow structure here. You could do this here. This is changing the incentive. We could also increase it from a 10% to a 15% for a limited time. And this is going to be really good for that efficiency stage of the flow, like we talked about, of getting the last couple of people to buy that we've paid good money to get into our list. We then have the copywriting side of things. We don't want to make the copy too boring. I do have a full copywriting guide on the channel. It was released just 2 weeks ago, so you can go on there and watch that. It's a super, super in-depth guide, which shows you how to really weave elements of persuasion into every email that you'll ever send to your list. But for the sake of the welcome series, I will go through this and say you want to keep it fun and brief while still being on brand. You don't necessarily want to deviate from the brand voice just to keep things, really fun and new or whatever it is. You can still do that and be on brand. You want to have one big idea per email. You don't want to chase two rabbits and catch none. You want to as well show different benefits to your product in each email and keep each email focused on one of those key benefits. So kind of a sister point here to point number 2. And then, like I said, in that copywriting guide, we have that as well, the 6 elements of persuasion. You want to try and weave one of those into that, so then each one of your emails has better conversions essentially. So that guide's on the YouTube channel. I highly recommend watching that. We can put a card up after this video, and yeah, you can check that out then. So we've gotten through the principles, and it is now time to talk about the specifics. So I'm going to give you a sample structure here that I really like with example emails here. I really like just a welcome, give the offer and go kind of email. Don't hang around for too long. They signed up for an offer. Once again, don't chase two rabbits and catch none. Don't just give them an offer and then try to brand build. Give them just the offer and then go into the brand building a little bit later on the flow. Don't chase two rabbits and catch none. Just go nice and direct here. A brand backstory, community and reviews, a letter from the founder / how you create, source your products, an offer increase, and then a final reminder. And you can kind of see here how this does all of the 3 things that we want to hit on. We can see maximizing the revenue here. We can see the brand building here in the middle of the flow. And then we can see here the maximum conversion possible here for all of those leads who are in the flow. See here, super nice welcome email, nice and to the point. This is what I like, where it's just straight to the point, and yeah, nice short email, not too much copy. You can see it just chases one rabbit, and as a result is more likely to catch just that one rabbit, which is just trying to get that sale from people the second that they sign up. An email like this is super, super strong to do. You then have brand backstory and kind of brand values, and you can kind of see here, you can do this as short or as long as you want. You can see here, if you're in a CPG sort of a niche, if you're in supplements or something like that, you can take this example here from Hawthorne, where they say their supplements are tailored for you, how they have smart replenishment and the best ingredients around. If you're not in that sort of a niche, you can kind of see here using the brand backstory here from Belro and Bare Bones, and you can see a shorter one here and a longer one here, which goes a lot more into the company's values. It's just a really, really good email to do here around email 2 of a welcome series. Try and just say hello, say what you're about, and get people won over to that message. We then go into a bit more of social proof in the form of benefits in the forms of community or your reviews and kind of showing off who loves you. You can see this from Athletic Greens going more into benefits, from Surreal going more into best reviews here, and then here as well we just have what people are saying about us with our reviews here inside the email, which is really, really strong to do. There are a couple of ways that you can do this, but essentially we just like a very sort of social proof, benefits driven email here that's going to try and get people to buy and show them that they're going to have a good experience with the products. I far more prefer doing reviews from, you know, customers here than I do, you know, let's say just pushing benefits, because people are mimetic, they want what other people want, and reviews are extremely convincing to get people to purchase. So great time to do that. I then love a letter from the founder email. These emails are super powerful. You can actually do this in plain text as well, which can often be even more powerful because it feels a lot more personal and like you almost just typed it out and sent it to your list right there and then. But you can see here, these are super, super powerful, and you'll actually see incredible conversions off of emails like these. You can see that they can be kept nice and short, but it just goes through why you started the brand and goes through, you know, potentially if you are solving a problem that you struggled with yourself for your audience, that always does extremely well. These examples are super, super strong. I've actually noticed these a lot more with female founder-led brands being done a lot more often. And yeah, I think great kind of tool in your arsenal to use in that exact scenario. So we've gone through maximizing revenue from email one. We're now through the brand building stage of things, and now we're going to go into efficiency. So you can just see here briefly, we have a quick, you know, $100 off code, and we have just a preview as well when you have 24 hours left on that. So you can see, hey, this offer is increasing from the welcome offer, is a very high AOV store. And then from there, we increase that for 48 hours. And then we remind them when they have 24 hours left, and you'll see a ton of people who weren't really going to buy at this point. You know, this is at the point where they're around a week into the flow, and a lot of the excitement of signing up for your list is largely gone. So for these people to actually give them an offer like that, it's going to help a lot of people convert that would not have converted anyway. So you can take a look at this doc as well. If you pop your email down in the link in the description, we'll be able to send you on this doc. At the link in the description for our email list, you can get all of these examples as well, so you can kind of use these for your brand also. So to recap, we want to make a longer flow. We want to write engaging copy. We want to vary or increase the incentives towards the end of the flow for people who have not yet bought, and do that for a limited time, as we said. Then we also want to mix offer emails with content first emails, just to keep the flow engaging and to get more across of your brand and get people won over to who you guys actually are. And there we have it. Now you know to set up your welcome series to crush it and improve advertising efficiency and revenue day in, day out, 24/7, 365. And remember, your welcome series is a constant source of leverage, and going the extra mile with it pays you huge dividends. So study this document, implement its principles, and profit. You can also follow us here. You can sign up to our newsletter at this link. You can follow us on LinkedIn here. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want more guides just like this also. Finally, the welcome series is just one of a suite of flows that we implement for all of our clients to drive automated revenue 24/7, 365. If you want to learn about that entire suite of flows and how we set them all up start to finish, we made a full Klaviyo flows guide tutorial on our channel, which you can check out right here. I'll see you there.